It's 9 p.m. East African time on the 3rd day of January 2024. A lot has happened in the country and beyond, and our reporters have been up and about, interacting with different people and different issues, and they bring us different stories. Here are the top ones. Government urged to release CDF funds in time. Gikumari residents in Ruiru eject earth movers constructing roads on their plots. Tonight, we look at the breakdown of road accidents in the country in 2023. And in sports, FKF calls for a National Executive Committee meeting to be held this Saturday. This is KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin. And our friend Moses Gitonga joins us in the sign language interpretation for tonight. Welcome to the broadcast. Now, Teso North Member of Parliament Oku Kanya has urged the national government to release County Development Fund CDF, which will allow students to get their bursaries before the resumption of the 2024 academic calendar. Meanwhile, in Kisii County, clergy leaders led by Reverend James Mogire have called on the government to salvage education by releasing CDF funds early enough.
Speaking in Busia County, Teso North Member of Parliament Okukanyu has urged the national government to ensure that CDF funds are released before January, when schools will be reopened. To its pressure on parents will depend on bursaries.
Hizi pesa zijakuja, tunaomba CDF money iwe released kwa constituencies, isaidia watoto wetu wapate elimu.
On the other hand, Bukayo East Member of County Assembly Eunice Wadera has challenged parents to take advantage of bursaries being issued by county and national government to educate their children beyond tertiary level.
Kisheria, county government haitakikani ipeane bursary. Haitakikani ipeane bursary. Lakini inatakikana ilipe ijenge madarasa ya chekechea, ijenge vocational trainings kama polytechnics, na itrain walimu wa chekechea na walimu wa vocational.
Wadera spoke at Elawanyika Primary in Nambale Sub-County during the tournament organized by MP to keep the youths away from crime and including themselves in sexual activities.
Shule ni kesho kutwa tu tunafungua shule. Hakikisha umerudisha mtoto shule, ama kama wewe ni mwanafunzi rudi shule. Hatutaki mwalimu akikupokea umeanza kuingia ndani ya nguo ya maternity. Nafikiri unanielewa wasichana. Sawa sawa? Na sasa tuangalie wasichana peke yao, hata wanaume wako katika hatari.
Elsewhere, clergy leaders in Kisii County, being led by Reverend James Mogire, has petitioned the government to salvage the education sector, which they claim is faced with financial difficulties. The clergy sought the government to settle that by providing school funding before the reopening of schools next week.
When we mess up with the young ones who are in our schools, then it means we have messed up with the livelihood of this country. Education is the only equalizer in society. And so I want to call upon the Ministry of Education to ensure that they have done part of their bargain to the schools, to ensure that our children, as they get back next week to schools, they are able to stay when they have their capitation already in their banks.
This occurs when the National Treasury has not yet released the National Government Fund to constituency, an issue that greatly affects students coming from poor families that are depending on bursaries to facilitate their education. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
President William Ruto has met with Sudan's paramilitary group Rapid Support Forces RSF leader Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo at State House, Nairobi. Ruto, who was not given much of the details of the meeting and what was discussed, has displayed optimism that RSF is ready for dialogue with the conflicting Sudan army that is headed by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. On his X account, the president wrote that Kenya appreciates the commitment of RSF and its leader Dagalo to ending conflict in Sudan, through dialogue. This comes even as East African Regional Bloc IGAD is mediating talks in Djibouti to bring an end to the chaos in Sudan. The conflict between RSF and the Sudan army broke out on April 15 last year and is reported to have resulted in the loss of over 12,000 lives in Sudan.
Tumetokea juu tuliambiwa taito yenye iko Roiro.
That mix up of the stories, and now we actually go to that particular story where the row over prime land in Roiro, Kiambu County, pitting some 3,000 families and an unknown private developer has intensified after the irate locals ejected earth movers constructing roads in the area. The land located in Gekumari area straddles the Eastern Bypass and Juja Farm and measures approximately 23,000 acres, where locals say they have settled for over 40 years after acquiring it from a colonial settler. The locals, who have been accused of high-ranking individuals of eyeing the prime property, say they have been living in fear of forceful eviction from their property. Local authorities in the area led by Deputy County Commissioner DCC Margaret Mbogwa openly described their title deeds as fake and that they would be evicted in due course.
Tumetokea juu tuliambiwa taito yenye iko Roiro ni fake. Na tukaambiwa tukitaka kujua ukweli tuende Ardhi House. Kwa hivyo kuna title za Ardhi House na Sahapa. Hatukujua, lakini sasa ndio tunaelewa kunaweza kuwa na title yenye iko Ardhi House na ya hapa. Kwa hivyo ndio tukaamua tutokee ndio tujue hizi title, kwani zimekuwa title mara mbili.
Shamba zikutoka ati kukisemekana ati shamba ziko na mwenyewe. Hapana, shamba zilipasuliwa 1976. Kwa saa hizi tumeanza kusikia ati ziko na mtu binafsi. Huyu mtu binafsi tunatumana hata atupatiwi nini yetu, atupatiwi venye tunauliza na serikali.
Now, the Teachers Service Commission TSC chairperson Jamlek Muturi has called both the government and the public to set up new policies which will cater for the elderly in the country. Muturi said this as he offered food aid to more than 500 elderly persons in the New Year celebrations. This comes after Labour Cabinet Secretary Florence Bore released a statement which confirmed the disbursement of Inua Jamii funds.
The Teachers Service Commission chairperson Jamlek Muturi has called on the government to introduce new policies which will cater for the elderly in the country in various sectors such as education and transport. Muturi asked the government to consider plans such as the installation of seats which are convenient to the elderly and the disabled in passenger vehicles and the introduction of new education programs that will fit the elderly. Muturi also asked teachers to introduce the teaching of values which will make students to relate well with the aged in their communities.
Kenya mzima, kwa jamii zote, kabila zote, madhehebu zote, makanisa na hata mosques, tuone ya kuwa tumehudumia wale ambao wamezeeka katika jamii zetu.
Kwa mara nyingi tumeona ya kwamba wazee wamebaki manyumbani peke yao. Vijana ama watoto wao kwa mara nyingi huwa hawamo nyumbani, wameenda kufanya kazi mjini ama mijini, na wazazi huwa wanasahaulika.
Muturi said this after offering food donation to more than 508 people, which was a form of marking the start of the new year, a function which was held in Buvoru area in Embu County, where it was accompanied by other well-wishers, including the Mama Doing Good.
Na kwa kweli hawa watu vile nilipata ni watu wamefinyiliwa, wengine hawapati chakula, wengine wakipata kesho hawana matumaini ya kupata. Na kwa hakika niko na shukrani mingi kwa wale walifikiria hii maneno. And one thing I can say is that it's a good idea to continue supporting the old, and more so to make sure that they are living and enjoying their life as it's supposed to be.
His sentiments comes days after the Cabinet Secretary for the Labour, Florence Bore, released a statement which confirmed the disbursement of 2.089 billion Kenya shillings in the Inua Jamii program, which caters for the aged across the country. Besides this, the government also released about 5.9 million Kenya shillings to cater for the nutrition program. Derek Odhiambo, KUTV.
And in international news tonight, U.S. lawmakers broke for the holidays without reaching a deal on border security funding in return for Republican votes to send almost $60 billion in aid to Ukraine. And as a VOA's congressional correspondent Catherine Gibson reports, negotiations are expected to continue into the new year.
The U.S. has sent $75 billion in military and humanitarian assistance to Ukraine since the February 2022 Russian invasion. Lawmakers are trying to work out a larger deal securing Republican votes for passage of $106 billion in national security funding that includes $60 billion in aid for Ukraine. But U.S. lawmakers have gone home for the holidays and will not approve a deal until at least early next year.
Both Democrats and Republicans understand that there's more work to do to pass legislation protecting America's security and the security of the Western world.
Republicans say U.S. domestic security on the border must be a priority if the U.S. sends money overseas. But immigration is one of the most difficult issues in American politics. Major legislation has not been passed since the late 1980s.
We haven't passed a significant immigration bill since Reagan's second term. And so this is not easy, but we're working hard to get an outcome because the country needs it, and the country needs it soon.
The national security request includes nearly $14 billion in aid for Israel in its conflict with Hamas. Analysts say that aid is less time-sensitive.
The Israelis are getting what they need to fight the war. Most of what's in the assistance package is longer-term aid that will rebuild them post-war and provide them some new tools. There's only a small amount that's really aimed at this current conflict.
But the White House has warned there is only enough for one more military aid package to Ukraine before funding runs out at year's end. Analysts say this will have immediate consequences.
The United States has done the preponderance of military support. And so the crisis really would be on the military side if aid didn't happen. And in those two dimensions, the positional warfare that requires a lot of ammunition and supplies, and also the protection of the civilian infrastructure through air defense.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Tuesday he is still optimistic about the prospect of a deal.
We are working very hard on it. I am sure that the United States of America will not betray us, and that what we have achieved with the United States will be fulfilled.
U.S. supporters of Ukraine say the West's failure to send aid to Ukraine will hand Russian President Vladimir Putin a victory. On Tuesday, he said Russia would never give up its claim on Ukraine.
This is what everyone in Ukraine, Europe, and the USA, everyone who is aggressive toward Russia should understand. If they want to negotiate, let them negotiate. We will only do it based on our interests.
U.S. lawmakers will continue to negotiate throughout the holidays, but a vote likely will not be held until January 8th at the earliest, when Congress comes back into session. Catherine Gibson, VOA News.
17 minutes past 9 p.m. We take a very short break right here on KUTV Primetime News. We'll be back shortly.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
From the farm to the consumer, we explore agribusiness opportunities right here with you.
Changamoto lingine ni soko. Soko saa ingine bei inashuka tu drastic, kama saa hii hoho imeshuka chini.
On Money Monday, we explore business stories and engage business professionals as reference points for analyzing investment opportunities.
Last year, the economy grew by 4.8%. And which is really an indication of the resilience of the economy.
If we don't grow the economy, then we cannot have economic transformation.
We shall bring you up to speed with everything taking center stage in the business world and the state of the nation. Join me, Ann Odida, every Sunday and Monday for captivating, entertaining, and informative stories at 9 p.m.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi. Remember, we are streaming this live broadcast on YouTube at KUTV News Kenya, so be sure to join us there. You can post your comment and you can talk to us, give us your feedback about this live broadcast. Now, the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, indicated that over 3,500 people have succumbed to road accidents since the start of the year 2023, a drop in the number of fatalities in the same period in the year 2022, which stood at about 3,936. Our very own Dorothy Musyoka brings us the road accidents breakdown in 2023.
Zakayo asuke chini. Hii maandamano hatutaki mambo ya break. Na nimeambia mambo ni mangapi? Matatu.
We are talking about the unity of the people of Mount Kenya.
With increasing population and motorization, Kenya is faced with tragic road accidents. According to 2023 Economic Survey report, at least 4,690 people lost their lives in road accidents in 2022. The year recorded 21,757 road accident casualties, representing a 5.5% increase from what was reported in 2021, where 4,579 deaths were reported. However, further statistics from the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) indicates that as of October 2023, the country registered over 3,500 deaths, which marked a drop compared to 2022, where 3,936 fatalities were reported in the same period, an 8.31% drop. According to Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Kipchumba Murkomen, 3,999 people died in road accident between January and 7th December 2023. According to NTSA, more than half of all road traffic deaths and injuries involve vulnerable road users such as pedestrians, cyclists and motorcyclists, and their passengers. Majority of accidents in Kenya are cited to occur due to reckless driving, failure to give priority for pedestrians, overspeeding, driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and disruption from the phone. In the report released in October, NTSA indicated that January recorded 379 fatalities, February had 340, March 389, April 357, and May had 340. June recorded 439 fatalities, July 325, August 327, September 338, and October had 330 cases. Some of the major road accidents reported this year included in January, where 21 people were killed when a bus heading for the Kenyan capital Nairobi crashed shortly after crossing the border from Uganda. The bus was traveling from the eastern Ugandan city of Mbale to Nairobi and crashed in the Kenyan town of Lwahwaka, just across the border from Ugandan town of the same name, leaving 49 others seriously injured. In February, an accident along the Lodwar-Kakuma highway in Turkana County left at least 14 people dead and 12 others seriously injured. In March, an accident involving a Pwani University bus and a matatu on the Nairobi-Nakuru highway left 18 dead and several others injured. In April, 11 people were reported dead following a grisly road accident in Migori town after a lorry ferrying rice lost control along the Kisii-Migori Eastbania highway before ramming into parked motorbikes and vehicles in the area. In May, 7 people died in an accident along the Kisumu-Homa Bay Road near Kidube when a school bus carrying mourners to a funeral failed to negotiate a corner and landed in a ditch. In June, a tragic road accident in Londiani along the Nakuru-Kericho highway left 51 dead, an accident that attracted leaders' interventions led by President William Ruto and opposition leader Raila Odinga. July and August had fewer cases reported, while in September, authorities in Voi confirmed that at least 12 people had died in a tragic crash involving a public service vehicle and a transit goods vehicle at Ndei area near Voi along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. In October, 5 people died on the spot, while several others sustained injuries in an accident that involved a bus, tractor and a trailer along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway in the Kambo area in Kibwezi, Makueni County. In November, 11 people died in an accident involving a 14-seater matatu and a lorry at Gata area along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway, leaving 5 others seriously injured. And in December, 12 people perished in grisly road accident in Makueni Mboni after the vehicle they were traveling in lost control and rolled several times before landing into a ditch along Kikimakali Machakos Road. A statement released by the Ministry of Roads and Transport, Cabinet Secretary for Transport Kipchumba Murkomen highlighted measures to be implemented to curb road accidents, where he ordered for completion of the road safety audits on black spots and safety interventions by the Kenya Urban Roads Authority, Kenya National Highway Authority, and National Safety Transport Authority. The CS also instructed the NTSA to intensify Usalama Barabarani campaigns and awareness programs across the country in a bid to ensure road safety is upheld to road users. Due to occurrence of accidents, NTSA in October launched National Road Safety Action Plan for 2023-2027 with an aim to achieve 50% reduction in deaths and severe injuries, including designated development high-risk demonstration corridors and urban areas. The plan involves coordination of delivery partnership, funding, risk targeting, infrastructure safety, vehicle safety standards and compliance, enforcement target and safe behavior, post-crash services and road safety database, monitoring and evaluation systems. Statistics indicate that the Eastern African nation loses at least 3,000 people annually from road carnage, with close to half being pedestrians, while several others are left with injuries, according to statistics from the police. Dorothy Musyoka, KUTV.
Zakayo asuke chini. Hii maandamano hatutaki mambo ya break. Na nimeambia mambo ni mangapi? Matatu.
We are talking about the unity of the people of Mount Kenya.
Time for sports news now, and the Football Kenya Federation FKF has called for National Executive Committee meeting, which is set to be held this Saturday. This was confirmed through a letter signed by the FKF CEO Barry Otieno, who stated that the meeting was called through the authority of the FKF President Nick Mwendwa. Some of the issues to be discussed include the Federation's elections matters, FIFA updates, this year's activities, among others. The meeting comes months after a member of the FKF National Executive Committee raised complaints about the violation of the Constitution by Nick Mwendwa. The EPL, West Ham United came to a 0-0 draw against Brighton Albion in their Premier League match, which was held last night at the London Stadium despite Brighton's dominance in the game. West Ham failed to continue their unbeaten record after beating Manchester United and Arsenal previously, and now sits 6th in the table, followed by Brighton on the 7th seat with 31 points. Half past 9, we come to the end of this particular conversation tonight. But as usual, our programming continues. Our educational and entertaining programs are up in store, and you shall be able to be entertained and educated in equal measure as you continue to enjoy KUTV and your experience. We come to the conversation for now, but to come to the end of the conversation for now, but tomorrow at 6:30, Mizizi ya Habari will be with you, and at 9 p.m. we will be back to inform you what's happening in the country and beyond our borders. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Moses Gitonga. My name is Mutegi K. Martin. Good night.
sasa kujumuisha kilimo katika mitindo yao ya maisha. Kwenye toleo la kaunti ya Narok, hii ni Boresha Kilimo, kwani afya bora ni kilimo bora.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya,